You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
So I am out and about here at the Monday Night Community Show. I'm on board Lv21 and we're going to be talking to Jim and Mags. Firstly, thank you very much for speaking to me.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could start off by describing yourselves to our listeners, telling them a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm Mags and I'm a senior lecturer at Canterbury Christchurch Uni, where I teach all elements of radio production and also a radio artist, and I'm currently just about to finish a PhD in radio art production. I'm working on a huge project for the last 5 years, focusing on the future of FM after it's been abandoned, and creating fictional radio stations around that theme. So that's kind of what I've been doing. It's quite a lot, really.
Sounds a lot.
And I'm Jim. I'm a musician and artist, and I'm lucky enough to be working here on the Lv21 at the moment as an artist in residence, which has been an almost overwhelming experience.
I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more about that.
Well, they're running it. The Lv21 people are running a project called Lookout, which invites a guest artist to work with someone in the community. In this case, I'm working with Colin Turner, who is the radio operator on board the ship, and that's one of many strings in his bow. So I've been working on this. This very short residency to create some works and hold some workshops, and to and in my case, I've been working on some site-specific works relating to the ship and the surrounding kind of soundscapes of the Medway.
I was going to ask, actually, is it the place you end up doing your work actually influences it? That's what I've set out to do with the work in the first place. I mean, it's such a kind of richly sort of resonant space, the ship and the surrounding waterways and the docks, or the dock areas which are still operational. I mean, this is a kind of really rich soundscape and rich in kind of associations as well. And also it's fantastic working with Colin, because the ship has an onboard radio operating marine VHF and shortwave. So all these things are kind of working together and sparking these different kind of aesthetic resonances, which I'm kind of trying to piece together.
Yeah, and we've also been working on a project called The People's Horn, where we've been recording people's sounds, foghorn sounds, because I was really sad when I learnt about the ship not having a foghorn, because obviously the key thing about lightships is they're really beautifully evocative sound, and there are many sound artists who've made sort of interesting compositions using foghorns. So I thought, well, how can I sort of approach this? And I thought an interesting way was to kind of think about how the community could be involved, and we could all work together to create a new horn for the ship. And that's kind of one of the projects that we've been working on while we're here, recording as many human foghorn sounds as we can, which has been quite fun as well.
I was going to say, one of the things I was just having a listen is how many different interpretations there are of a foghorn. When you ask someone to do it, I have in my mind what it would sound like, but listen up there's so many different versions of it.
And that's the great thing. People aged 6 to 60, maybe 80 even, have made their sounds, and everyone's got a different resonant tone to their body. Some people are quite happy to give you a real belly sound. Other people have voices that have a different acoustic reach. So you're just getting a really lovely textural piece, actually.
Yeah, I think of it as a kind of collectively produced bit of kind of sound poetry, just people using their bodies in this kind of quite a kind of expressive way. And again, people, and also, I think children under a certain age probably don't really know what a foghorn necessarily sounds like. So you have this kind of open sort of interpretation of it, which really allows the kind of imagination to run wild and actually be expressed, through the voice and through the body. It's quite an exciting way of bringing this together.
You're listening to BRFM 95.6, our very own community radio station right here on the Isle of Sheppey. We are hearing that interview I did when I was out and about on board Lv21, where I caught up with Jim and Mags from Radio Art. So I know there's a couple of other things you wanted to cover.
Well, yeah, we're here as Radio Arts, which is an organisation that Jim and I set up to sort of promote radio arts activity across the South East. And we've been holding a number of workshops in different locations like the Turner Contemporary, the Champ Festival, and we're going to be doing one in the future at the Beanie. So if anyone listening is interested in getting involved, do have a look at our website, which is radioarts.org.uk. And in January, we're going to be having a workshop where people can come and make transmitters. We're going to make FM transmitters, and should be quite an interesting day for those people who have no technical skills. Just come along, and we'll give you those skills. But you will need to contact us by email to take part. So while we've been here, one of the workshops we did was at another lookout called the Old Lookout in Broadstairs, and that's a temporary artist space over the summer. It runs from kind of June to September every year in Broadstairs for the last 3 years, and it's actually run by a woman called Karen Shepherdson at Canterbury Christchurch, and artists can have a residency there for a week and have their own little installations. So this year we held a workshop on the first day of my residency there, where we recorded people's memories of radios, and that's what we've been doing today as well here in the lookout here, recording people's memories to go into this installation that's going to be on view at the Beanie at Easter time. So we're going to have an installation at the Beanie of Radio Recall and all the other projects that we've been working on, as well as some commissioned work. So that's happening at Easter time at the Beanie, which is in Canterbury. So anyone that's been involved in the project today that we've been recording will end up in that piece as well.
And talking about memories, what's quite interesting is that at the moment there's all different ages of radios from different periods. I was wondering whether that makes people think of memories.
Well, it's been quite interesting because, I've had many people who've kind of told me about the most interesting time of radio back in the sort of 1930s and 40s. People in the 80s telling me about how they used to have these huge batteries that used to, they had to wheel along and they would last for a week. So I'm hearing about the accumulators, and then I've got people who sort of remember listening to the radio under the bed while they were listening to pirate radio in the 60s, up to the present day where people are listening to radio with their parents and then start listening it to themselves. So there's been a real intergenerational theme in the work, and also it's been really interesting kind of having this kind of verbal oral history of people's first listening experiences, and radio has really impacted on people in the southeast. One of our respondents, a lovely lady, telling me she remembers listening to the outbreak of war on the radio and how dramatic that was at the time, and those kind of moments that people have shared with the radio has been an ongoing theme to this. So it's been a joy to kind of to do this project and bring together and allowing people to share their memories and then rebroadcast them so they become the work itself.
We are continuing to those interviews I did when I was out and about on board Lv21, and I caught up with Jim and Mags from Radio Art right here at the Monday Night Community Show.
So I understand there's going to be a workshop coming up. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, on November the 11th, there's going to be another workshop on board the on board here on the light vessel Lv21, which is going to be led by Colin Turner, who is the resident radio expert and shanty man. I'm not sure how much that's going to be incorporated into the workshop though, but yeah, we're going to be building with him some AM receivers, which and I did this activity with him just last week, and it was enormously rewarding. Kind of, I don't want to spoil the surprise for anyone who wants to come along, but it's very, very hands-on, involving kind of soldering and hammering in copper tacks, and you get to really kind of understand a small kind of part of the infrastructure of radio, and that's kind of a really rewarding thing to kind of get involved in. It makes it feel very kind of very DIY, and also the receiver you create sounds absolutely fantastic, and each one has its own unique personality in accordance with all the different kind of things you bring to it in sound and appearance. So I recommend anyone who's interested to I suppose have a look at the Lv21 Lookout project website and find out about it.
So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about your future plans.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have an exhibition for a week during Easter at the Beanie, which is the Beanie House of Knowledge and Culture in Canterbury. And people are very welcome to come along to that. Information will go up on our website nearer the time. And as I mentioned, our website is www.radioarts.org.uk. And that's going to be happening in the near future. Also going to be having another workshop in Folkestone, although the date for that isn't organised yet, but obviously the Triennale is happening, and I think we'll be getting involved in that in the Fringe in some way. And in 2015 we're hoping to run a radio festival, and obviously dependent on funding, but our plans would be to have a month-long radio festival, hopefully from somewhere like the Turner Contemporary, and also have a broadcast that's happening, an arts broadcast while we're doing that. So that's our kind of mission, really.
I was wondering, just before we finish up, if you could just refresh us on that workshop and any useful contact details, just as a kind of a roundup.
Right. Well, the next workshop is going to be on board the Lv21 at Gillingham Pier, and it's going to be on November the 11th. And there's information on that. Is going to be on the website lookout21, I beg your pardon, .co.uk. So all the information you'd need to get in contact and book yourself a place on it will be on there.
I'd like to thank you both very much for taking the time out and telling us all about what you're doing here on Lv21, a bit about yourselves and some of your future plans as well.
Thank you. It was lovely to spend time with you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.